Have you ever felt like you're surviving life instead of truly living it? Like no matter how hard you work, something still feels off. Like your soul is out of alignment? That's not your imagination. It's a silent truth most people never confront. You weren't given the real rules of life, because the ones that truly transform you are hidden, ancient, and powerful. Today we're unlocking their truths. Welcome to the Monk's Code, 10 life principles you were never taught. These are not tips you'll find in a textbook. These are principles forged in silence, hardship, and inner mastery. These are truths monks live by, warriors of discipline, clarity, and peace in a world that glorifies chaos and noise. And here's what makes this different. These principles are not just for monks in mountaintops. They're for you, for the person trapped in overthinking, for the soul burned out by distractions, for the heart that knows there's more to life than the chase. You were taught how to follow, how to obey, how to exist, but never how to take command of your mind, your time, and your energy. This video is your awakening. This is your blueprint. Each principle will challenge you, but it will also elevate you, because once you adopt the Monk's Code, you no longer live by chance, you live by choice. You no longer drift, you walk with direction. So take a deep breath, silence the noise around you, and get ready to hear what no one ever told you, but what your soul has always needed to learn. Silence is a weapon, not a weakness. In today's fast-paced world, silence is misunderstood. We are conditioned to equate silence with weakness, awkwardness, or lack of opinion. But what if I told you that silence is not a void? It is a sword. Not an absence of strength, but a presence of power. Monks have known this for thousands of years. They don't just practice silence, they live it, because they understand what most of us have forgotten. Noise distracts, but silence reveals. Think about your own life. Every time something feels uncomfortable, what's the first instinct? To reach for your phone, to talk, to scroll, to consume. Why? Because silence forces you to face yourself. And most people are terrified of what they'll hear in that stillness. But the monk is different. The monk walks straight into it, because within the quiet, he finds truth. In silence, you begin to hear the voice that gets drowned out by the world, the voice of your own soul. The truth is, you don't need more opinions, you need more clarity. You don't need more validation, you need more self-connection. And that only comes when the noise stops, when the mind stops racing, when you're no longer reacting but observing. Silence sharpens your instincts. It allows you to see through deception, both from others and from yourself. In silence, you learn what truly matters, what's just noise, and where your path really lies. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. This is why monks spend hours, days, even weeks in meditation. Not because they're running from the world, but because they're training to rise above it. When you learn to be comfortable in silence, you gain a power no one can take from you. Emotional stability. You stop needing the world to be loud for you to feel alive. And here's the paradox. When you learn to master silence, your voice becomes 10 times more impactful. Because you're no longer speaking to be heard, you're speaking to bring truth. Every word becomes intentional, every action purposeful. The world tells you, speak up, be seen, be louder. The monk teaches, silence until your words carry weight. So what does this mean for you? It means you don't have to respond to everything. You don't need to chase attention. You don't have to prove yourself with noise. Start your mornings in silence. Meditate before making decisions. Learn to pause in conflict. In those moments of stillness, your mind will settle, your spirit will strengthen, and your direction will become clear. Silence isn't weakness, it's control, it's presence, it's power. The Monk's Code doesn't begin with shouting. It begins with stillness. And once you master silence, you master yourself. Control what you can, surrender what you can't. Modern life teaches us to obsess over control. Control your job, your future, your image, your relationships. We're told that if we just try hard enough, plan smart enough, grind long enough, we can control everything. But the monk sees through this illusion, because not all effort leads to peace. Sometimes effort becomes a prison, especially when you're trying to control the uncontrollable. Here's a truth few people will tell you: not everything is meant to be in your hands. And that's not failure, that's freedom. Master Heng teaches that there is wisdom in surrender, not weakness. There's power in knowing what belongs to you and what doesn't. It's like standing in a rainstorm. You can try to control the wind, the clouds, the water falling from the sky, or you can simply take shelter, breathe, and let it pass. The storm is not your enemy, it's your teacher. You can control your choices, but not the outcomes. You can control your effort, but not the timing. You can control your mindset, but not other people. When monks train in Shaolin temples, they learn that discipline doesn't mean clenching your fists. It means knowing when to grip and when to let go. A mind that is always trying to control becomes exhausted, but a mind that knows what to release becomes peaceful. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means aligning yourself with a higher rhythm. It's knowing the difference between force and flow. A river doesn't force its way over a mountain, it flows around it. That's nature's wisdom, and you are part of that nature. So how does this apply to your life? It means stop trying to control how people perceive you. Stop chasing relationships that are draining your soul. Stop stressing over every detail of the future that hasn't even arrived. Instead, do your part. Control your habits, control your thoughts, show up with integrity, discipline, and love. And then let go. Let go of perfection. Let go of fear. Let go of the outcomes. The monk teaches that when you surrender the need to control everything, you actually gain power, not over the world, but over yourself. And that is the highest form of mastery. Look at your life right now. Where are you fighting battles that aren't yours? What weight are you carrying that isn't helping you grow? What expectations are you clinging to that are only creating anxiety? The moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, something beautiful happens. You create space. Space for clarity, space for peace, space for miracles. So remember, control what is within, surrender what is beyond, trust the process. Because the monk doesn't chase control, he embodies peace. And in that peace, he wins. Simplicity is the key to inner power. In the chaos of modern life, we've been sold a lie that more means better. More money, more followers, more goals, more gadgets, more noise. But what if the real path to strength isn't through addition, but through subtraction? The monks live in simplicity not because they lack access to complexity, but because they understand something we've forgotten. Clarity only comes when you remove the clutter. Simplicity isn't about having less, it's about focusing on what matters most. Let's be honest, how many of us feel overwhelmed not because we're doing too little, but because we're doing too much of what doesn't truly matter? Our energy is scattered, our attention is divided, our minds are overloaded, and our hearts are tired. Master Heng teaches that when the mind is cluttered, the spirit is blocked. But when you simplify your outer world, your inner world begins to awaken. Look at a Shaolin monk's life. Their routines are stripped down to the essentials: discipline, training, meditation, service. No unnecessary distractions, no endless chasing, just presence, just purpose, just peace. Now this doesn't mean you have to become a monk, but it does mean you must begin to ask yourself a critical question. What can I let go of to become more powerful? Simplify your schedule. Simplify your relationships. Simplify your environment. Simplify your thoughts. Because in simplicity there is clarity, and clarity is power. Most people are afraid to simplify because they confuse simplicity with mediocrity. But simplicity is not the absence of ambition. It is the refinement of ambition. It is knowing that your energy is sacred and you cannot afford to waste it on things that don't bring you closer to your higher self. Think about it like this: a sword is only sharp because it was stripped down to its essence. The same is true for you. When you begin to cut away the non-essential, your spirit begins to sharpen. Simplicity also gives you back your time, the most valuable currency you will ever have. Instead of wasting hours in meaningless comparison, endless scrolling, or people pleasing. You start investing time in growth, stillness, mastery. The monk doesn't chase every opportunity, he chooses the right one. A monk doesn't speak constantly, he speaks with intention. The monk doesn't run from thing to thing, he walks with purpose. You don't need more to be powerful, you need less but focused. You don't need more noise, you need more silence. You don't need more complexity, you need clarity. So start today, declutter one area of your life. Clean your space, say no to one unnecessary obligation, let go of one toxic habit. One step at a time, move towards simplicity. Because once your life becomes simple, your soul becomes strong. And in a world addicted to chaos, simplicity is not weakness. It's a superpower, the power of patience and silent progress. In the fast-paced, hyper-connected world we live in, everyone is in a rush to succeed, a rush to be seen, a rush to prove. We are conditioned to believe that if results don't come quickly, they won't come at all. But the monk knows better. The monk knows that real growth is silent, real power is patient. Master Heng often speaks about the importance of trusting the process, moving with patience, not pressure. He teaches that like bamboo, your roots must first grow deep beneath the surface before anything visible shoots up. The early stages of mastery, discipline and transformation are often invisible. And that's why most people quit, because they don't see the fruit fast enough. But monks live by a different rhythm. They understand that progress that is built slowly is progress that lasts. In the monastery, a student may spend years sweeping floors or repeating a single movement, not because they lack talent, but because true transformation requires repetition, humility, and stillness. You don't become powerful overnight, you become powerful through quiet dedication, through showing up even when nobody is clapping, through working on your craft when no one is watching. Silent progress is still progress. Just because the world isn't noticing doesn't mean you aren't rising. Patience also means letting go of comparison. In a culture obsessed with speed, it's tempting to measure your journey against someone else's timeline. But your growth is not supposed to look like theirs. Your process is uniquely yours. Rushing it will only weaken your foundation. So what can we learn from the monk? Slow down. Be present with where you are. Water the seed even when there's no sign of a sprout. Trust that every effort is being counted even if you can't see the reward yet. The most dangerous thing you can do is expect overnight success. Why? Because it creates shallow roots. And anything with shallow roots will collapse when storms come. The monk prepares for the storm long before it arrives. Through patience, through discipline, and through inner alignment. In your own life, this means practicing your skills daily without the need for applause. Working on your body, mind, and spirit even when no one sees the difference yet. Trusting that the unseen efforts are creating unseen strength. Patience does not mean passivity, it means intelligent, quiet action without the need for instant validation. Let others chase noise, let others rush. You be the one who moves silently and steadily, because when your breakthrough finally comes, it won't be shaky or temporary. It will be unshakable, rooted, real. So keep going, even in silence, even in stillness. Your patience is building something far greater than speed ever could, because the strongest warriors move in silence until it's time to strike. Master your reactions. Control is internal, not external. There's a saying in the Shaolin tradition, you cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. In other words, you cannot control the world, but you can control yourself. And mastering your reactions is one of the most sacred and powerful principles a monk lives by. Most people go through life in a constant state of emotional reactivity. Someone says something disrespectful and they explode. Life doesn't go as planned and they panic. A delay happens and their whole day is ruined. Their peace is held hostage by every external circumstance. But monks don't operate this way. They understand a deep truth. Peace is an inside job. It doesn't matter how chaotic the outside world becomes. If you've mastered your reactions, you are unshakable. You become the calm in the storm, not a leaf tossed in the wind. Shaolin discipline teaches that between every stimulus and response, there is a sacred space. And in that space lies your freedom, your power, your evolution. It's in that pause, when you breathe, when you reflect, when you choose peace over impulse, that you rise above average behavior and become something more. Anger, you control it. Fear, you observe it. Thus respect, you rise above it. Chaos, you remain grounded. Now, don't confuse this with suppression. Monks aren't emotionless robots. They feel everything, but they are not ruled by their feelings. They've trained themselves through meditation, breathwork, and discipline to respond with clarity instead of reacting from ego. In your own life, mastering your reactions means you don't argue with fools, you preserve your energy. You don't seek revenge, you focus on your growth. You don't let temporary emotions cause permanent damage. You observe before you respond. Why is this so important? Because life will never stop testing you. People will disappoint you. Challenges will come. The unexpected will strike. But if your internal state is rooted in discipline, reflection, and patience, nothing can shake you. Reacting emotionally to everything gives your power away. Every outburst, every panic, every petty response is an admission. You control me. But when you respond with grace and strength, you take that power back. This is how warriors are made. Not by fighting every battle, but by knowing which battles are worthy of their energy. When you begin to master your reactions, something beautiful happens. You become untouchable. People notice your calm, your presence, your unbothered energy. That's when you stop being ordinary and start being legendary. So the next time you test it, pause. Take a breath. Feel the power rising within. And remind yourself, I control me. See, because in the end, true freedom doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from mastering yourself. Simplicity is power, the art of living with less. In a world that screams more, the monk chooses less. Less distraction, less chaos, less materialism. Not because he lacks, but because he understands that simplicity is power. We've been taught to equate success with accumulation. More money, more clothes, more followers, more noise. But let me ask you this, what if less actually gave you more? What if removing what is unnecessary is the first step toward discovering what is essential? The Monk's Code teaches us to strip life down to its core, to release the clutter mentally, emotionally, and physically, so that clarity can rise. You see, simplicity isn't just about a minimalist lifestyle. It's a mindset. It's the decision to stop chasing every shiny thing and instead master the few things that truly matter. Monks don't waste time managing 20 priorities. They focus deeply on one or two. And because of that, they gain mastery, discipline, and inner peace, while the rest of the world drowns in distractions. Here's what embracing simplicity looks like in your life. Fewer possessions. Not because you can't have more, but because you're not owned by things. You choose what adds value and let go of what doesn't. Less mental noise. You stop letting 1,000 random thoughts occupy your mind. You focus, you breathe, you bring yourself back to now. Less comparison. You stop looking left and right at other people's lives and start watering your own garden. Clearer priorities. You're no longer trying to please everyone. You know what matters and you stay aligned with it. Because here's the truth. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you say no to something vital. Simplicity forces you to confront what's actually important. It brings your life into focus. Think about a sword. It's sharp because it has been refined and stripped down to its essential edge. That's what simplicity does to you. It sharpens you. It removes the noise. It clarifies your purpose. Master Shi Heng teaches that simplicity is not weakness, it's strategic subtraction. The Shaolin monk does not complicate his path. He simplifies it to walk it with greater power. So why does the modern world struggle with this? Because we've been sold the lie that fulfillment comes from excess, but monks know the more you accumulate, the more you're distracted. The more you chase, the more you're enslaved. But when you simplify, you free yourself, you regain your time, your clarity, your peace. And in that stillness, you become dangerous. Because now your energy isn't scattered, it's concentrated, it's focused, it's unstoppable. So simplify your space, simplify your goals, simplify your circle, simplify your soul. Because in simplicity, you don't lose power. You discover it. Embrace stillness. Silence is a weapon, not a weakness. In a world obsessed with noise, speed, and constant stimulation, the monk retreats into silence. Not because he's hiding, but because he's listening. Not because he's doing nothing, but because he's mastering everything from within. Stillness is not the absence of action. It is deliberate inner alignment. It's the ability to be in control even when the world spins around you like a storm. While others are panicking, complaining, scrolling endlessly, monks are still, rooted, grounded. They understand that power is not always loud. In fact, the most powerful forces in life, like gravity, time, breath, are silent. When you embrace stillness, you stop reacting and start observing. You stop racing and start reflecting. And in that space, you become someone the world can't shake. That's what makes stillness your secret weapon. Let me ask you, when was the last time you just sat with yourself? No phone, no music, no distractions, just you, your thoughts, and your breath. Most people are afraid of that. Why? Because silence reveals the truth. And the truth demands action, responsibility, change. But a monk isn't afraid of silence. He runs toward it. He meditates in it. He sharpens his awareness in it. Why? Because clarity is born in stillness. Answers arise in stillness. Healing begins in stillness. You don't need to go to a mountaintop to find peace. You need to learn how to sit still with your soul. Even 5 minutes of intentional silence a day can transform how you show up in the world. It can shift your focus, elevate your decisions, and make you mentally indestructible. Monks have mastered the art of inner silence, even in noisy environments. That's why they walk with presence. That's why they speak with power. That's why their actions echo without needing volume. Stillness teaches self-awareness. It shows you your fears, your patterns, your ego. And once you become aware of those things, you're no longer a prisoner to them. You become the observer, not the puppet. The world will try to convince you that motion is progress, but monks know mindless motion is chaos. True progress often begins in stillness, with a single conscious breath. That's when clarity comes. That's when the path reveals itself. So practice being still. Not just with your body, but with your mind. Let your thoughts pass like clouds. Observe them. Don't chase them. Let your breath be your anchor. Let your presence be your power. Because in the end, the one who controls their inner world controls their entire world. Stillness is not weakness. It is strength refined in silence. Live with intention. Every step must serve a purpose. The final and perhaps most transformative principle of the monk's code is this: live with intention. Every action, every step, every breath must be deliberate, must be rooted in awareness. Because life without intention is like a sword without direction. Sharp but lost. Dangerous but ineffective. You live in a time where people wake up and reach for their phones before they reach for their thoughts. They scroll before they breathe. They react before they reflect. They move through their days on autopilot, not realizing that wasted days become wasted weeks, then months, then lives. The monk doesn't allow his day to dictate him. He dictates the day. He wakes with purpose, walks with presence and moves with precision. Nothing is rushed, nothing is random. He's not trying to do everything, he's trying to do the right things deeply. Living with intention means asking yourself powerful questions. Why am I doing this? Does this align with who I'm becoming? Is this thought, habit, or relationship serving me or draining me? When you live with intention, you stop being a slave to impulse. You stop letting other people's priorities hijack your focus. You become your own compass, your own guide. And here's the truth most people ignore. You can be busy your whole life and still go nowhere. Productivity is meaningless without purpose. Motion is meaningless without meaning. Monks know this. That's why they spend more time reflecting than rushing. They take longer to make decisions, but once they do, they move with the force of mountains. Intentional living is not about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about asking yourself if what you're doing today is building the life you'll be proud of tomorrow. So stop just existing. Start living consciously. When you eat, eat with awareness. When you speak, speak with clarity. When you rest, rest without guilt. And when you work, work with your whole soul. Your energy is sacred. Your time is limited. Your focus is gold. Don't waste it on meaningless distractions. Don't trade your peace for popularity. Don't scatter your life across 10 directions. Channel it into one, with discipline, with simplicity, and above all, with intention. Because that is how monks master their lives. And that is how you will too. Every step you take is either on purpose or by default. Choose purpose, choose power, choose presence. Now that you've heard the 10 principles of the Monk's Code, you must understand something deeply important. This is not just knowledge. This is a new way of living. These principles are not meant to be stored away like another inspirational video you watch and forget. They're meant to be applied, embodied, and lived day by day, moment by moment. Because the truth is, the world will not remind you of discipline. It will not push you to seek peace. It won't encourage simplicity, presence, or deep introspection. The world wants you distracted, numb, overwhelmed, drifting. But you are no longer just a part of the world. You are becoming the master of your own life. The Monk's Code was never about being perfect. It was never about retreating from the world. It's about facing life as it is with clarity, strength, and serenity. It's about choosing purpose over pressure, silence over noise, and depth over distraction. Remember what you've learned. Discipline isn't punishment, it's the path to freedom. Simplicity isn't luck, it's clarity. Stillness isn't laziness, it's alignment. Pain isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. And intention, true, conscious intention, is the foundation of power. This isn't ancient wisdom meant only for monks. It's truth designed for anyone ready to live deliberately. For anyone done with the chaos, the lies, and the empty promises of modern success. You were not born to drift. You were born to walk with purpose. You were not meant to follow blindly. You were meant to lead yourself. And the time to start isn't tomorrow, it's now. From this moment on, carry these teachings like armor. Let them shape the way you think, move, love, and live. When life gets hard, and it will, return to this code, recenter, reclaim, refocus. Because you are the author of your inner world. And a disciplined mind creates a liberated life. Let the Monk's Code be your compass. In a world chasing noise, be the one who walks in silence, yet shakes the earth with your presence. If this message spoke to your soul, don't just keep it to yourself, share it. Someone out there is lost, distracted, and drowning in chaos. Let them hear this truth. And remember, live simply, think deeply, act intentionally. Because real power is not in how loud you speak, but in how clearly you live. Until next time, yeah? Stay focused, stay grounded, and walk the path of mastery.